How the US government clandestinely modified weather. Want to make an impact for liberty while getting paid with both gas and housing covered? Check out the Young Americans for Liberty campaign trail program at yaliberty.org/FA. And thank you to Galactera.com. Refresh your mind with their cannabinoid gummies and tinctures and get 30% off by using the discount code FA at checkout. In 1946, scientists at General Electric worked together under a program called Project Cirrus, a project aimed at controlling weather and breaking up hurricanes. The team lead, physicist Bernard Vonnegut, brother to famous science fiction author Kurt Vonnegut, Nobel laureate Irving Langmuir, and atmospheric scientist Vincent Schaefer, joined together to see how clouds could be formed using aerial techniques. They found that using dry ice and silver iodide created precipitation in supercooled clouds, a process called cloud seeding. By releasing it into the air in upstate New York, they set off an artificial snowfall for the first time. This project was sponsored by the Army Chemical Corps, Navy, and Air Force for the purpose of seeing how weather could be weaponized. The government further conducted research on weather modification through other agencies, with the Department of Defense creating the Artificial Nucleation Project, a project designed to analyze how precipitation could be controlled under a variety of weather conditions. The DoD carried out ground experiments with projects Overseed and Skyfire. Overseed involved ground-based silver iodide generators around Mount Washington, New Hampshire. Skyfire took place in western states during 1956 and 57 to test how forest fires could be reduced by curtailing cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. As interest in this field grew, so did federal funding. The National Science Foundation was directed by Congress to investigate weather modification, with over $2 million in project grants being handed out in 1966. The U.S. Interdepartmental Committee for Atmospheric Sciences noted that federally sponsored weather modification program spending between 1959 and 1970 totaled about $74 million, with a ramping up in 1971 and 1972 adding on an additional $35 million. The U.S. government ultimately ended up using weather modification techniques on the battlefield with Operation Popeye. Operation Popeye was a classified weather modification program running from 1967 through 1972 in Southeast Asia. The military used cloud seeding to extend the monsoon season in Vietnam, with the purpose of disrupting North Vietnamese supply trucks. The public discovery of Operation Popeye through reporter Jack Anderson's expose in March 1971 caused some concern among various congressmen and international state heads. Because of this concern, legislation was passed to ban environmental warfare both domestically and internationally through the UN. This UN meeting in 1976 was called the Convention on the Prohibition of Military or Any Other Hostile Use of Environmental Modification Techniques. Despite the supposed prohibition on using weather modification for international warfare purposes, weather modification for domestic purposes remained on the table. For example, the Chinese government seeded clouds for the 2008 Olympic Games to help reduce smog and rain, openly stating that their weather modification program would be expanded to cover over 2.1 million square miles through 2025. The Japanese government used cloud seeding to boost rainfall in Tokyo after an unusually dry summer in 2013. In 2022, aircraft in California's Central Valley seeded clouds to create rain when dry conditions persisted. In fact, there are several states with active weather modification programs, including programs in Texas, Utah, Idaho, Nevada, Wyoming, and Kansas, among others. As you can see, weather modification is still alive and well around the world. The extent to which it is done by governments, though, may not be totally clear until all programs are declassified. As weather can affect us all, we must demand transparency so we can understand the full extent of these state-funded environmental manipulations. Special thank you to all my fiduciaries. CJRoasting.com Organic Fair Trade Coffee, Galactera.com Premium Cannabinoids, Zach Lakowski, Beto Distrafa, Crawford K. McDonald of Taggart Atlantic Healthcare, Agorist Nexus, and Young Americans for Liberty. Help me produce more quality content and receive special perks for your monthly support by joining my Patreon or Subscribe Star membership pages. See you soon!